Hello and welcome to this special edition of William's Corner. Today I'd like to write an open letter to you, Sir David Attenborough, and thank you from my whole heart for all the joyful moments you have given to me throughout my childhood and adolescence and up until adult age. I cannot reach you by letter or email or phone or anything, so this is my way to reach you, and most likely you will never see this video. But anyway, this is my attempt to reach you with my great disappointment. I'm sorry, Sir David, but you let me down. I say this with a smile because I'm truly so thankful for everything you have done as a presenter for BBC. But one day I came to realize that you actually believe that all these fantastic, wonderful animals and plants are here by chemical accidents, that there are no creator that made them. And that disappointed me deeply, Sir David. I have had a great joy through my life by believing that there is a creator that is pure love, that is pure light, that is creative, that is true. There is no lie in him, there is no darkness in him, and he loves us. Even before we were born, he loves us. He loved us. By looking upon the DNA that he was going to give us, he could know from the DNA what kind of personality or physical characteristics that person or that animal would have. He knew it. And he designed, in my belief, the cocoa bean and all other plants to have a purpose, to be joyful, to be useful, and to function in a harmony with other creatures like bees. So I believe that the bees did not have to wait a few 100,000 years or some million years for plants to give nectar. And the plants did not have to wait for some million years for the bees to pollinate them. I believe that both were created by this person that I call God. I believe that he made you and me to look like him, to be like him, to be able to have feelings, extremely complicated processes that we don't have any idea how they work. The human brain has a set of different type of nerve cells, and if you include the subdivisions, it might amount to almost 2,000 different functionally types of cells in the brain. There are 200 billion cells in the human brain, approximately the same number as stars in our galaxy. The brain of a bumblebee has only 1 million, 1/200,000 of what a human has. But still a bumblebee is able to raise children, to do its job, And many of my friends, honestly, are not able to do that. So how is that possible? I think it needs a leap in faith to see clearly, Sir David. And I encourage you so much to take a leap in faith. That there might be something else that is true than Darwinism, evolution, chemical accidents. If you have enough time, it will just happen. Really, will it? I humbly admit that I have studied the human body a little bit, as I'm a medical doctor. I'm retired now because I got a neurological disease that makes it impossible for me almost to read. And it's hard for me to sit here to talk because of this disease. But I'd like to share a little moment with you. When I was 15 years old, I believed that all the stories of the Bible, the Christian Bible and the Jewish Bible, they were not just myths, but there was a truth behind it. Even though they are simple in their form and they represent humans' experience of God, I believe that there was a truth behind it, that there actually had been a meeting between God and his creation, that God chose to step down, take on human form, a DNA which he decided himself to insert into a virgin, and thus represent himself with the face and the expression of love that was true to his character. The name of that person was Jesus Christ, or Yeshua HaMashiach in Hebrew. Was it really true that this was God's attempt, last and final attempt, to get humans back home? Do you believe that this life ends by death? I do not. When I was 15 years old, I took a chance. I was on a meeting, packed full of people, a Christian meeting, and I sneaked in upstairs in the gallery. I stood behind all people. I couldn't see even the speaker. But he was talking about Jesus, and I said in my heart, Jesus, come into my heart. And the next thing I remember was that I opened my eyes and I looked up on a lot of people that were standing around me, lifting my feet up to get me back to consciousness. I had fainted, and they told me that I had fallen over some chairs that were standing there. I woke up and was really ashamed, and I ran out and didn't go back. It was so embarrassing. But you know, something happened that moment. Of course, I know as a doctor you can explain it away. It was some kind of fluke in the nerve system, or some emotional shock or something. Yeah, you can try to explain it away. But I've lived for more than 50 years now, and I never fainted. Not before that moment, 15 years old. I never fainted after. I haven't fainted more than once in my life, when I asked Jesus Christ to come into my heart. So I would say that I have a slight indication that Jesus Christ is still alive. And he claimed towards his disciples. When they wanted to see God, he told them, "If you have seen me, you have seen God." And could it be more true? When God in his spirit was able to step down and take on human form and become visible to us, what we have touched, what we have seen, and the word of God, John the disciple witnesses about Jesus. He touched him. John knew he had seen Jesus before he was crucified. He had been leaning on his chest the evening before he was arrested. He had seen the empty grave, and he had seen the risen one. And he spent the rest of his life to tell the world about that. You can read about it in the Gospel of John and the letters of John. Why should he lie? What was there to benefit from that, such a lie, to risk his life? Many of the other apostles, they were killed because they claimed that Jesus was the Messiah and he was still alive. If they knew that they had never seen Jesus risen, if they knew that he was never alive after his crucifixion, why should they risk their lives? Why should they be killed for something that they knew were a lie? They didn't get any bonuses. What was the profit? It doesn't make sense, does it? Sir David, I tell you this without manuscript because I cannot write. I have problems with that because of my disease. So forgive me that I'm jumping. To me there was 3 great Davids in England. It was you, and it was David Austin that made all these wonderful roses. And it was David Pawson, a preacher of the gospel of truth. He died a year ago about. Well, that is just a curiosity, but a peculiarity, but 3 great Davids, yeah. And you are the first one, David. And I'd really like to see you again in heaven, because I believe very firmly that all these things that you have seen and spent so much time on describing are only shadows of the real stuff. When you see a butterfly here, it's very perishable, doesn't last very long, and the same with the flowers and the human as well. But I believe that there is a place where they don't die, where you can see the original, that is not made of physical particles, but of spirit, upheld by the chief spirit of all spirits, God that created all spirits and all that is in this world and the world to come. Do you, Sir David, want to have a place in that world? I bet you do. I bet you want to see those creatures that God has created, impeccable, unperishable, in his eternal kingdom. And I already told you the name of the king in that kingdom. His name is Jesus Christ. And you have to go to him if you want to be a part of his kingdom. You have to pledge your loyalty to him, to lay down your life and say to him, Jesus, I am nothing and you are all. You see, Sir David, this world, this universe, is not heliocentric, is not centered around the world, and is not centered around you. It is centered about a person that is called Jesus Christ. He is the center of everything that is and will be. And you say perhaps that I don't believe that. Give me proof. Give me evidence. And God's answer to you will always be very simple. Jesus Christ. That is God's answer to humanity. There is a mystery about the love that Jesus Christ represented. A love that is not possible to explain by chemical accidents or evolution or anything else. A love that I am sure you have experienced in some points in your life, small glimpses of it. A newborn child. You remember you looked your first child in the eyes. Could you see the love that created those eyes? Do you believe that the absolute miracle of the human eye is due to the fact that God wanted us to see? Of course, I know your answer. It gradually developed through small steps by evolution. Yes. Do you really believe that? Hope to see you. Bye for now.